What happens when America's sweetest comedian meets one of television's most provocative hosts? What should have been an easygoing late-night chat suddenly erupted into the most explosive television moment of the year. Leanne Morgan walked off set, Andy Cohen scrambled for damage control, and the entertainment world has not stopped buzzing about what really went down that night. The evening began with all the makings of a standard promotional interview. Leanne Morgan, the Tennessee-born comedian who had won hearts with her warm humor and down-to-earth stories of motherhood and small-town life, was there to promote her latest comedy special. Andy Cohen, known for his sharp wit and knack for stirring up viral moments, welcomed her with charm. Their opening exchange was light, even funny. Leanne joked about juggling her career and family, while Andy praised her success and relatability. Then came the shift. Settling back in his chair with a knowing grin, Andy asked if Leanne ever worried that her comedy, built so firmly on traditional family values, might feel outdated to younger audiences. Leanne smiled politely, insisting that love, family, and community were timeless. She argued that whether raising kids in Tennessee or New York, the challenges of holding a family together were universal. But Andy pressed further. Didn't she feel a responsibility to acknowledge that not all families looked like the ones she often described? Wasn't there a risk her comedy excluded people whose lives were different? For the first time, Leanne's easy demeanor cracked. She defended herself firmly, explaining that she only told her own stories, not political messages, not instructions on how others should live. But Andy wasn't done. He pointed out her frequent talk of traditional roles and values, questioning whether her act implied that those were superior. Leanne's tone changed completely. The warmth drained from her voice as she told Andy to stop twisting her words. She had never attacked other people's choices, she insisted, only celebrated her own. The audience, who had been chuckling minutes earlier, fell silent. Andy leaned in, still unwilling to let go. He argued that narratives mattered, that even without explicit statements, her comedy sent messages about what was ideal. That was the breaking point. Leanne fired back, recounting how her stories had always been about imperfection, burned dinners, messy houses, marriage struggles, not some flawless life to emulate. She challenged Andy to name one time she had told others how to live. He couldn't. With her voice rising, Leanne reminded him that she had spent years connecting with ordinary people who saw their own struggles reflected in her stories. To now be accused of creating a harmful narrative felt outrageous. Andy tried to argue that celebrating certain lifestyles could feel like endorsing them over others. Leanne's response was blunt. Was she not allowed to love her own life out loud without making others uncomfortable? Her frustration grew into something larger. She accused Andy of creating a culture where people felt they had to apologize for their happiness, especially if it looked traditional. She mocked the idea that jokes about forgotten school events or socks on the floor could marginalize anyone. Her defense turned passionate, pointing out that she performed for working-class Americans, truck drivers, teachers, nurses, parents, people who connected with her stories because they lived them too. Andy tried to calm the storm, framing the debate as part of a broader social responsibility, but Leanne wasn't buying it. In a voice that had gone quiet but sharp as steel, she accused him of ambushing her. He hadn't wanted to talk about comedy. He wanted a viral fight. She stood abruptly, unhooking her microphone as crew members tensed. Then she laid it out. The real problem wasn't her values, it was Andy's bubble. He surrounded himself with people who thought just like him, forgetting there was a whole world beyond. Andy, clearly rattled, begged her to sit and talk rationally. Leanne refused, accusing him of putting her on trial for being happy with her life. His insistence that he had been asking legitimate questions only fueled her fire. She accused him of chasing content, not conversation. She had come excited to share her comedy, only to be interrogated about whether her happiness was problematic. The studio was so still you could hear a pin drop. Leanne's words cut through the silence as she declared that Andy's line of questioning proved exactly why her work mattered. People came to her shows to feel seen, to feel that their lives, imperfect, ordinary, traditional, were valid. Now she was being asked to apologize for loving her own choices. She placed her mic on Andy's desk and told him bluntly, apparently, in his world, honesty was dangerous, and joy had to be justified. Andy finally stood, insisting the conversation was important for society. Leanne shot back that he didn't speak for society, only his bubble. Then, taking full command of the room, she declared what she believed society really needed. People unafraid to be happy without apology. People who could celebrate their lives without tearing others down. People who recognized there was room for all families, all values, and all stories. Her voice rose with conviction. What society didn't need, she said, were self-appointed gatekeepers policing others' happiness. She told Andy he had reminded her why so many people felt silenced, afraid to share their true lives for fear of judgment. And yet that was exactly why her comedy resonated. It reassured people that it was okay to love their lives, no matter how unglamorous or unprogressive they seemed. Andy, pale and shaken, tried to explain himself again. But Leanne wasn't finished. She turned toward the cameras and, with raw honesty, declared that she would not apologize for celebrating love, family, and commitment. She would not apologize for being happy. Then she turned back to Andy one last time and told him to ask himself why someone else's joy felt like a threat, because that revealed more about him than it did about her. And with that, she walked out, leaving Andy Cohen speechless. His audience stunned and his production team scrambling. The cameras lingered on Andy's face, capturing the disbelief of a man who had just lost complete control of his show. When the broadcast finally cut to commercial, everyone in the studio knew they had witnessed a moment destined for television history. What should have been a routine promotional appearance became a cultural flashpoint, igniting debate about family values, comedy, inclusion, and the right to celebrate one's choices without apology. And the question still lingers, was Leanne Morgan right to defend her life so passionately, or did she overreact to Andy Cohen's push for accountability? Either way, one thing is certain, late-night television has never seen anything quite like it.